You want to know what happens to an eyeball when it gets punctured?
Next up, Russ and I review The Hitcher and discuss the exquisite physical media release from Second Sight.
How exquisite is it? Exquisite.
Welcome back to 4K Kings. My name is Matt.
I am Russ.
And welcome to your home of physical media, movie reviews, and so much more.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Matt, but our channel has been growing at a rapid pace. On the day we hit 10K subscribers, Emilio Estevez promised us that he would finally give up drinking and get the help he needs.
Well, Russ, we're back today with another review, a review that's decades in the making. The cult hit, the often spoken about, the legendary The Hitcher. And we are here today to give that review thanks to this exquisite Second Sight physical media release. Russ, how exquisite is it?
Well, let's be clear. It is probably the most exquisite release I have ever quizzited.
Russ and I have quizzited many releases, and this one is at the top of the chart. So we're going to dive into this release. We're going to talk about everything that's coming with this, including the transfer, including the booklets, and everything that goes along with it. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah! Yeah!
1986 film directed by Robert Harmon, script by Eric Red, about a murderous hitchhiker who stalks a young motorist across Texas. This was Robert Harmon's first full-length film, and this was Eric Red's first script. Starring Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. One thing that I don't know if you knew, and I didn't know this, but he got the idea for the script, Eric Red did, by listening to Riders on the Storm.
Which is about a hitchhiking killer. And I always loved the song and thought that it was a great opening for a film.
Is it about a serial killer or something to that effect?
There's a verse. There's a killer on the road. His brain is squirming like a toad. Take a long holiday. Let your children play. If you give this man a ride, sweet family will die. Killer on the road.
Yeah, sure. So what?
Very middling reviews from critics and audiences alike. It actually lost $2 million in the process. I think the budget was like 7.9 and it got like 5. It didn't really connect all the way.
It was too 90s for the 80s. It's got too much of an edge. It's not entertainment that you're just going to passively turn your brain off and enjoy. But it's also not a cerebral film either. It's too sophisticated to solely exist as a B movie, but it kind of plays like a B movie as well.
Right. It demands your attention to the way that you can't just, like you said, put it on and fold laundry. I watched this movie as a child, which was a mistake. I absolutely loved rewatching this movie in more of an adult headspace. The pacing of it, the characters, the score, the cinematography. There's so many things that are like hitting.
All those things you just named, the cinematography, the pacing, the characters. Most movies from this era like this, you're lucky to get one of those nailed.
Rutger Hauer, this will probably be at least in his top 3 movies that he's remembered for. At least American stuff. Like obviously he was like a Dutch legend. You're going Blade Runner. You're going here.
Blind Fury.
Blind Fury, of course.
I have a comedy coming out.
Really?
Also. Yeah.
What is that?
That's called Blind Fury. I also do circumcision.
Sounds very funny.
What I didn't know was that Terrence Stamp was the guy that Eric Red initially had in his mind, like when he was shopping this around.
I'm so happy it ended up being Hauer, but I could picture Terrence Stamp.
It didn't work out. Terrence was very clear that he felt that it would take him in a place he didn't want to go at that moment. That's how he put it.
Other names I read were Sting, David Bowie, and Michael Ironside.
It would have turned into a flat-out horror movie with Michael Ironside. Like, holy shit. Dude, just picturing that scares me.
Really?
Rutger Hauer
Hell yeah.
is the fucking cherry on top. Yeah, I mean, like, let's say the movie was trash, but his performance was the same. It still would be an enjoyable movie.
Rutger Hauer is just like a very believable, menacing, cold, like killing machine. There's a lot of violence that does play out on screen, but there's a lot of kills that the Hitcher performs that you don't see happen. Like there's many scenes where like, you know, a whole police station of cops has been slaughtered, but you didn't see him do it. A whole family in a like a station wagon or whatever slaughtered, but you didn't see him do it. But when you see him on screen and his interactions and his talking, you just like believe that this man did all that shit. Dude, he dives through that windshield in that part. He like one hands that gigantic like military grade like shotgun. I don't know. He just took this role to the next level.
You make such a great bad guy, I think is why we mentioned
Yeah, I
that.
take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
That's why I do my work. I like to do good stuff.
I also like what you said about the performances feeling natural and believable. I think you could see that clearly with Jennifer Jason Leigh. There was no vanity to her. There was nothing special. There was nothing like, I'm dreaming to get big and get out of this small town one day.
Right,
kind of bullshit. It's like, that felt very real. Like, that is a diner waitress in the middle of nowhere. Things like that go overlooked sometimes. I think that's actually good writing to show restraint. A lot of modern writers, especially, they would, like I said, they'd give her some backstory, which inspires more sympathy because we as viewers are bringing our own life experiences and putting them on her, which makes it, like you said, there was no motive for Rutger Hauer for so long. This is all plausible yet dreamlike at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where it's magic. That's where this movie is magic.
Yeah? Yeah?
You can't, forget C. Thomas Howell in that formula. It like impressed me how good he was. Like he really like plays off of Rutger Hauer well. He's so believable. Again, just how terrified he is, how desperate he seems. And as you can imagine, Rutger Hauer is basically like staying in character like a lot of this performance.
I really had to deal with Rutger, who was just very intense, and that was possibly the peak of his Rutgerness.
C. Thomas Howell, from what I'm reading, was completely terrified of him throughout the filming. And that one scene where in the car early on and he takes his switchblade out and he like puts it against his eye, that was like unscripted, I read. And C. Thomas Howell was like actually terrified because he just didn't know. I think maybe there was some real fear there, which really brought the performance out for C. Thomas.
Thanks. It's real nice of you.
There's a weight to this movie.
There is.
There's just gravitas. There's something that feels real.
Nobody feels safe like ever. So it just feels like the stakes are real. At any point in time, anyone could like die. I'm just reading a little bit about this initial script. I guess it was like 190 pages long and it was completely gruesome. Had you seen all this gory violence, it would have just been an exploitation like B movie. But they were able to kind of craft it to where the violence was potent and scary and some shit you never saw before. The cinematography, that one scene where Jennifer Jason Leigh's about to get kidnapped and she's in that like hotel and it's dark and then all of a sudden like a car drives by. He's like there, like some of those like really extreme wide shots and like this beautiful like vistas, and that happens a few times. I was like, wow, this Texas looks great.
It was shot in a widescreen format, and if you see it in that form, certainly on a screen, on a big screen, it has a certain scope to it. So much of the movie is about, you might say, figures in a landscape.
Tell me what you think about the score.
I feel a film score's job is to help tell the story. In a sense, you should almost be able to turn the dialogue off and have the music tell the story.
I love Point Break to the point where I listen to the damn score of Point Break on its own. Mark Isham did that score. When I was watching this, I didn't pick up that it was him, but the entire time I'm like, I love this score. It has that real open world ambiance, like it's very monumental, but personal at the same time. And it's the perfect score for the Hitcher because that's what this is. It's monumental yet personal. It's large yet it's small. Like the stakes are death, but the reasons behind it are small. It's just so primal.
I feel like I didn't walk away from this movie feeling like I was missing anything or needed anything more. It's a great road/horror thriller, but like you said, like the flourishes, the different, whether it's the score, the cinematography, all the things that are hitting that don't usually hit all at once are what elevates this to just a different level.
Nothing but praise, man.
Well, when it came out, audiences and critics did not praise it.
What?
They basically panned everything we enjoyed.
I think, but see, that's what I think. When I said it was ahead of its time, I think they were panning the simplicity rather than judging how well this simple concept was executed.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like they were judging it for what it's not. It'd be like judging Halloween for not giving Michael Myers a backstory, which of course they tried to do in 2 and all that.
Yeah.
This is just a basic nightmare.
Evil's chasing you.
Evil thing, entity wants me dead.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah?
Rutger Hauer has stated he didn't feel audiences understood it. And I think he was really proud of it. He was saying he didn't want any more villain roles in his career, but he saw this and was like, I got to take this thing. C. Thomas Howell, he starred in Soul Man the exact same year.
I mean, when you do two classics back to back, you're goated for life.
I really appreciate this.
In 2003, Russ, C. Thomas Howell came back and starred in a direct-to-TV release of The Hitcher 2, I've Been Waiting.
Coming soon on DVD and video. Terrifying, edge-of-your-seat suspense from start to finish. Explosive action that never gives up. The Hitcher 2.
And do you know who was the Hitcher this time around? Jake Busey.
Jake Busey.
I thought we had an understanding. Not too many people pick up a hitchhiker these days. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
In 2007, they just did a straight-up remake, Platinum Dunes, Michael Bay. Do you know who the Hitcher was that time?
No.
Sean Bean. Robert Harmon, though, his career took an interesting turn, so he kept directing great films such as Eyes of an Angel with John Travolta. It's a movie that John Travolta did in 1991 that was so terrible, it was only released in France.
Vodka.
Then, after that, this guy settled into direct-to-TV films with Tom Selleck called Stone Cold. 8 films and counting.
Jesse has to always struggle, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, with drinking issues, and he needs to remain hung up on his ex-wife, Jen.
Here it is, the Second Sight 4K release, and quite a behemoth it is. This is a beauty, and they've done a great job. Obviously, people have been waiting for this to come out, and now that it's here, they couldn't drop the ball on the box and the packaging. They had to give you everything. So it comes with, I think you mentioned this, this J card is kind of like, it's like a container, basically. It's not even like a card. It's like it houses the whole film in there. I usually toss these, but I think I might be hanging on to this one.
I hold on to mine. I toss them too, but I was like, yo, that's so snug.
This is a classy touch whenever there's a hardback book involved. And inside of here is just a ton of pictures, a long interview with I believe it's the writer, an exclusive interview with the director, and then just a bunch of stuff about the behind the scenes. I think we've talked about before. You'd buy like that for $12 to $15 probably.
I would. A hardback book, even the size I love.
Then you have the entire screenplay in a softbound book, which is awesome. You're getting obviously a bunch of these art cards, which are all characters for the most part, and one of like a police car from the movie. And I will say, up close, the detail on these, they're really crisp. Like the quality of the card is kind of what you'd expect, and the printing looks good, but the quality and the crispness of like the faces and stuff, I feel like they're very sharp. It comes in a digipack, which is sort of what Second Sight's known to do. They put theirs in digipacks that slide in. I don't know if that's to try to save space on the box, but I will go on record again as saying I wish they did it in a regular case with a slip case over top that slid into that box.
That's not a deal breaker.
It's definitely not.
I honestly don't hate digipacks.
The materials overall, great quality. The script, the hardback book, all of it's great. The sunset art is pretty on point. I hadn't seen this movie in so long, so I was kind of like, not sure what to think of this light blue into like an orange sort of, motif, because I'm kind of used to that like hard ass poster art where it's like the guy looking in the rear view and the Hitcher's there. Yeah, overall, just a outstanding package. Everything that you're getting here is super quality. There's like hours of features on here. New interviews from everybody. The director comes back, the writer comes back, Mark Isham comes back, even C. Thomas Howell, he comes back. So they're all here and given like 30 to 45 minute long interviews. There's retrospective featurettes, like making ofs, like 3 or 4 commentaries. Now, as far as the transfer is concerned, I've actually seen in more than one place, it looks more like it was done digitally, or there's some digital enhancements or something to that effect. I have like 0 frame of reference. I'm telling you that right now. So this is sort of like the everyman perspective, not someone with a bunch of equipment that's, like monitoring and measuring a bunch of levels. I've only ever seen this on TV. When I put this on, I think it's like a cliche to say this at this point, but it literally looks like it was filmed today. It's not dated. It's not aged. It looks outstanding.
What we're trying to say is it looked like it was filmed yesterday, if yesterday was 1985.
Now that 4K brings this crystal clear resolution and brings these films back to life in a way that they should be seen, it doesn't look like it's been aged. It doesn't look dated. The wide shots I was talking about earlier, they obviously just completely pop. I know it took them a long time to kind of get this together, all the materials and resources they needed, but I feel like they did an outstanding job. The audio quality was outstanding. I don't know what else to say. I felt like personally they nailed it.
This so far is probably going to be the #1 release of 2024 in my eyes.
I can't imagine this not being in my top 5 at the end of the year somewhere. There's been a lot of great releases, and not just the release either. Just if this is a movie that wasn't on your radar, or it was and you never got a chance to check it out, it's a top-notch thriller, like a top-notch villain. This is like a great pseudo sort of action movie. I read that Rutger Hauer was doing some of his own stunts and some of that car driving and the chasing and stuff. And he's like firing at helicopters. Rutger Hauer, they don't make them like they used to. I guess that's all I can say. If for some reason you did miss out on this second sight release, I believe the regular edition is still available, but the WB is doing y'all a solid. They're putting out this in the US as well. In the original art, not nearly as stacked as what the second sight release is given to us, but it's still something. Thank you for watching this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out some more of our reviews. Check out our live streams. We do them every other week.
Check us out on Instagram, on Spotify, on LinkedIn, on Pornhub. What else are we on, man?
That's all I'm aware of.
And remember, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. It's the least you can do. Like this video, leave us a comment, share it with your friends, go out and torment some poor people on highways across America. You do you.
Michael Bay, this is what Michael Bay said. This is his quote.
Don't hurt my feelings, because honestly, I defend Michael Bay.
This is him talking about The Hitcher. I loved it as a kid, and we can add some cool twists and turn it into a rockin' film. Jesus Christ. Thank you, Michael Bay. I can't believe you said that.